Right, so we we the we run a citizens assembly following the council declaring climate emergency. And the reason why we chose this after looking at different methods of engagement is because we believe it was going to be yeah, it's a space where you can empower people to make decisions. It serves as a starting point for genuine engagement and increases ownership and commitment on new policies and ideas. It obviously is not a cheap process, and it took a lot of resources, both financial and people resource in the council. We engage a whole team of people helping to deliver this assembly. The assembly was delivered in 3 stages. So we had a pre-assembly engagement, they had the actual assembly, and then post-assembly engagement. And we did a lot of pre-assembly engagement because during the recruitment, we had some criticism that even though the assembly, you know, we have around 80 people in our assembly, it still does not represent the views of everyone out there because it's just a selected number of people. So we did a number of pre-engagement that fed into the assembly, and I'll talk about it in a minute. So this is how we framed the assembly, to get people thinking about what we needed to do. And we divided the kind of areas of actions in three sectors: homes, neighborhoods, and the council. And then we developed a number of these display boards that were printed in kind of A0, really beautiful, sharing some of the facts and information about what was happening in the borough, you know, real facts to inform people, to help people have a better understanding of climate change and where the issues were. So in terms of general public, during the pre-engagement assembly, we ran a consultation, one of the other methods mentioned before, and we used this commonplace platform, which is not only the questionnaire, but it's a little bit more interactive. We use the subjects that we divided: home, my neighborhood, my council, and my country. And there was a lot of information before, so we would providing people information and then asking them a number of questions. So we received 225 proposals through this engagement, which all this information was later on fed into the assembly. We also talk to businesses, and we have a network. It's called the Camden Climate Change Alliance. So we run a lot of awareness with them, and then we run a roundtable, which almost like a citizen jury with the businesses, to get the views. Again, all this information was fed into the assembly. And we also talked to schools. We had a network. We had been working with schools previously. And so we went talk to schools, got the students to think about this, and then put a presentation which was taken to one of the assemblies later on, as well. As well as themselves presenting at the assembly. So in terms of the outcomes of the pre-engagement, we have around 600 ideas, and this were reduced to around 200. Just basically removing duplication and where ideas were similar. So we grouped them into 200 ideas, which were then taken to the assembly or at the last session where the people were looking into what are we going to do. So in a way, the assembly had to review these ideas and come up with new ones or complement them. So the assembly was running in we had 3 different sessions. It was very intense, all over 1 month. It were a whole day sessions. So the first one was about providing the scientific background. So everyone was at the same level of understanding. Then we looked at pathways to the future. So we invited a number of existing organizations and successful projects that were run in Camden or London who were doing stuff, again, to give people ideas of what things can be done. And then was the action planning session on the last one. We had support from the UCL, who were running an evaluation at the same time as we were delivering the assembly. The Guardian was very closely involved because Camden was, I believe, the first borough to run a citizens assembly following declarations of climate crisis. And we had a number of experts involved, and UCL and scientists providing amazing information, really factual and very engaging. And so it was a really exciting initiative, and people were really, really engaged in finding it very informative. So the assembly came up with 17 proposals, which were then taken to full council and approved. And then those proposals were developed into our climate action plan. These are the 17 proposals, which are under the 3 different headings: homes, neighborhood, and council. I'm not going to spend too much time here because I got other slides to show you. And then this is one section of our climate plan. So Camden committed to net zero carbon by 2030. And we'll build the plan into 4 areas: people, buildings, places, and organizations. Key lessons in terms of diversity, it's about recruiting many, not the few. So although our assembly was 80, we still felt unrepresented by some people being part of the assembly. And we tried to deal with that by doing all the pre-engagement that we did in advance. It's not easy to run. It is the many views and values to deal with it. So there needs to be more time for deliberation. We had 3 sessions over 3 full days, and it still wasn't enough. So again, there was a place where people felt sometimes rushed to make decisions of move from one subject to another one. And we also find a bit challenging in terms of coming up with ideas, because as I said, during the pre-engagement stage, we collected a large number of ideas. We then were turned into 200 ideas. And those ideas were placed in cards and then given to assembly members to discuss and rate, I say, in a criteria that we gave them to qualify them. And they found that having been through an assembly all the 3 days, suddenly these ideas came from nowhere. Although assembly members had the option to decide, we don't like these ideas, we want our ideas, and there were a lot of new ideas that they came up with. There was a little bit of a challenge on kind of digesting this. Where did these ideas come from? You can read on that link the whole UCL report, which is really, really useful to as a background information if you're thinking doing something similar. So following engagement, and we did a lot. And one of the things that the assembly did do, it was to bring us much closer to the community. And one of the things they wanted was to create spaces to empower the community to create new projects, similar to your group, Katie, but this was coming from the community. The Camden has a large range of active community groups. So I don't think we have a need of creating a new one, but giving them a platform. So we launched this Think and Do in a disused front shop in Camden in Kentish Town. And we ran a large number of activities, which not the council did, but the community. We only opened the space for them and they took over. Even the design was developed by them. They painted it, they ran it. We were there kind of supporting it. It was a great success, and it was really intense. And we ran over 80 activities. And the approach for this was, it was a space for imagination. So it was inviting people to think, what if, for example, the council says yes to anything? What if there were no barriers to implement your idea? So it was creating, all the walls were blank and people were putting all the ideas there. So then following a phase of imagination, we went into a phase of hacking ideas into projects, and 10 ideas were hacked into projects with members of the community. And all of those projects are currently, this was in 2019, are currently running, and they got arms and legs and amazing projects, all owned and run by the community. So again,
Carlos,
it's a way of dealing again.
1 minute left.
Oh,
Sorry
1 minute left. All right. So so I just whiz through. So we also created a Camden citizen panel to overseeing the delivery of the climate plan and be a bouncing board, a sounding board. We engage with schools and we launch a school climate charter to frame schools wanting to declare climate crisis. We have a similar approach for businesses, a business climate pledge. We are developing our public information campaign, and one of the areas that's critical for us, and you mentioned it, Katie, is reach the economically disadvantaged, the women groups, the diverse, the ones that council is usually unable to reach. And we're working with, we're seeking expert advice to do our kind of stakeholder engagement, identify target audiences. We launched our climate crisis pages, which is a starting point of the information campaign, and it's going to be a place of continued development. And the community part of following and the Think and Do, the launch this campaign, the Camden Vision in 2030, which was an amazing competition. It started last year, and in January the 7th, Camden New Journal published 40 of the 230 ideas that were submitted into a wrap-up for the newspaper, which is amazing. Again, you can see more on that link. And that's it. This vision in 2030 is now a new framework for us to develop another new range of activities that we're engaging with the community.